Hello everybody, welcome back to another beautiful video on another beautiful day. So if you noticed, my last two videos were kind of like 2 days apart, and I was attempting to keep it that way, and then I fell victim to a beautiful thing called procrastination, and then I didn't film the videos. But I might make a video on procrastination. I actually tried to last night and spent like 20 minutes sitting there slamming my head on my desk because I couldn't figure out a solution, and I don't want to make a video just proposing a problem. Anyway, with all of that garbage nonsense out of the way, welcome to another video. This beautiful one is titled, "The Only Thing I Fear, Mediocrity." Hopefully that's what it's titled. I hope I remember to do that. But what does that mean? Well, I love asking people. I love saying, "What do you fear?" I don't really know why I do it. I just think it's funny. It's not. It's kind of weird. But nevertheless, I do it, and I'm not going to stop. And, I receive an assortment of answers: heights, spiders, just random stuff. Well, there's only one thing I fear, because the question obviously gets turned around back onto me a lot. The only thing I ever fear is mediocrity. I fear that I will live my entire life on this planet and achieve nothing notable. I fear that I'm just going to grow up. I'm going to have, a kid or two. I'm going to have a wife that, hates me and is probably cheating on me with her Pilates instructor, and I'm pretending not to know. And my kids hate me, and my son rides scooters all day, and he puts underglow on them. I get a little off topic, but, and I just achieve nothing. I go through this life, and I make, a little bit of money, like whatever, I get my wife some nice stuff on occasion that she probably just gives to her Pilates guy. It's just I achieve nothing. And that is my biggest fear. How are you here for all of this time and you get nothing beautiful done? Now, mediocrity is an interesting thing, okay? It's being mediocre, of course. So what is mediocre? Mediocre is being like everybody else, right? Now, I don't want to be like everybody else because there's a lot of people on this planet, and there's only, a handful, I guess, compared to all of those who have ever lived, that have really done something notable. So the scale at which my notoriety is, I'm not really that worried about it. I'm not, I don't need to go down in history books. I don't really care. If I do, I do. If I don't, whatever. But I want to achieve something. I don't just want to work and make money and then go home. That's not what I want to do. I want to love what I do, and I want to be an innovator. And that's a particularly common mindset. And that is bad because it's a common mindset, but it's a very rare thing in practice. That means majority of people fail at not being mediocre. And that aligns with the definition of mediocre, so that would make sense. But how do you not be mediocre? That is the beautiful question at hand. So today I wanted to run through my very easy 3-step plan to not be mediocre. And this is, of course, what I'm going to do. Is it going to work? I have no idea. But that is my favorite thing ever. I might make a video on that. My favorite thing ever is not knowing what's going to happen and just assuming it's going to work out and having the confidence that it will. And that actually leads to our first point, mindset, okay? So as weird as it sounds, to not be mediocre, you have to not want to be mediocre. Oh, yeah, obviously. But you have to really not want it. You have to step out of your comfort zone and do stuff different. If you only did things that you were comfortable doing for your entire life, that is literally exactly how you stay mediocre. You don't want to try anything new. You don't want to do things that are hard or difficult or anything that really doesn't benefit you at this exact moment. Not wanting to do things like that is exactly how you stay mediocre. So, if you want to be better, do weird stuff. Now, when I say weird, I don't mean do something weird. And I'm going to go ahead and not even specify anything weird because it's probably going to offend somebody. So you can come up with your own weird, like something in your head that you find weird, okay? Just do that. And that's not what I mean when I say do something weird. I mean do something that you don't see people do. Something that's risky or stupid, as some would call it, right? Just things that people look at and they're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not able to do that. Things like starting a business, Yeah, I talked in one of my other videos about I started a little clothing brand, and it failed. Well, kind of. I mean, it made me some money, but just things like that. Things like I didn't even conceptualize that I could do this in my lifetime. That's the kind of things that you have to be doing if you don't want to be mediocre. Now, of course, I can just say, oh, do all this cool stuff, but it's a lot harder to actually do it. So, to actually do it, you need to be in the proper mindset. And I've talked about mindset a lot. That's probably the biggest thing I personally preach to people is you need to be confident in yourself and in your abilities and that it'll all work out for you. You can't start something if you don't think you can do it, if that makes sense. I mean, you can, but you're not going to give it your full effort. Why would you give it your full effort if you know you're going to fail? Every single thing in my life, I go into it thinking, I can do this. It's overconfidence, it's whatever you want to call it, but I do it anyway. Because if I think I can do it, I can do it. In my head, that's the way it works. It's exactly what I talked about in my last video. So, from this mindset of, I could do it, now you have to actually do it. So you have to go into action. Now, this is where a lot of people fail, right? When you go into action with whatever you're trying to start, it's going to be difficult and you're not going to see results immediately. And that's something that, obviously, right? Everybody says, oh, yeah, obviously I know I'm not going to see results immediately with whatever I'm doing. But people just give up. And that's such an awful, awful thing to see. If you listen to any entrepreneur talk, you're going to see that they did not succeed. I was watching a video on Steve Jobs the other day. He was giving a speech at a college graduation. And he said that he had slept in the dorm room of his friends' rooms, and he would go around and collect cans of Coke to sell to buy food. And that's how he lived for months while he was intaking this information and literally just learning. He hadn't even started his business. And then out of a garage for so many years, maybe 8 or something, I don't really remember. So many years, nothing happened. And then finally it hits and he's now running a $1 billion company. Well, not now. Unfortunately, he's dead. R.I.P. the man. But he did not succeed immediately. And this is obviously very common advice. This is something I personally hear a lot. But it's just something that you must keep in the back of your head when you're trying to be different and you're trying to be better. You won't see results immediately. But when results do eventually come, there's actually another problem. A lot of people see this and they think, okay, let's lay out the steps here. So you've got to get in the right mindset. You've got to start your action, okay? Failure or whatever happens within, and then you have the result. And then people see that and they're like, okay, that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and start. Right? No. You have to look at this a little differently here. So result is a weird thing, okay? Result is the thing you've been chasing for however long you've been trying to get to it, right? So let's say, all right, we're going to go ahead and start with an example so I don't have to just keep saying the same words over and over again. Let's say I want to build a clothing company. We'll go with a clothing company again because I'm weirdly experienced with it. So, mindset, right? I think, okay, well, I can't actually, make a clothing company. Nobody's going to buy my clothes. So I just draw, a shirt every once in a while. I draw up a design. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I show it to my friends. They're like, yeah, I would buy that. Like, that's a pretty cool shirt. And then suddenly my mindset changes and I'm like, you know what? I think I can do it. So right then and there, I start devoting a lot of my time to drawing up shirts, pants, sweatshirts, whatever I want to draw up. And eventually, I get pretty good at it. I'm starting to make some real nice clothes. And I'm thinking, wow, this is just beautiful. I start showing people, and they're like looking at it and like, oh, that's a cool shirt. But, what are you going to do with that? Oh, well, I'm going to sell it to people. No, you're not. What? What do you think, you're Leonardo da Vinci? Nobody's buying that. You're just some jerk-off drawing on pieces of paper. Nobody's going to buy your clothes. And then suddenly you're like, oh, well, okay, maybe they're right. And this is something that actually happened to me when I was making clothes. They looked terrible, so I was not called Da Vinci, unfortunately. I was called something I can't say on YouTube. We'll leave it there. If I can find a photo of the shorts that I made, I will put them up. I don't think I can, but anyway, I was not called Da Vinci. I was called something else. Anyway, your mindset changes, and you're like, okay, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I can't sell these clothes because maybe I can't even design them. Why am I even trying? And that's when that thought creeps in. Why am I even doing this? Do you know how much easier life would be if I wasn't dealing with this every day and the stress of making clothes and trying to defend myself to all these random people who are hating on me? That thought right there, the thought of just how easy it would be without this one thing, that is a dangerous thought. That's something it's been pranking me for a minute. But anyway, your mindset is now shifted into a negative mindset. That is a huge, huge problem. That is where a lot of people fall off. You have to get back into your positive mindset. It's weird. You have to ignore people, okay? But don't ignore them completely. You have to take in constructive criticism. The shorts I previously referenced, terrible, awful looking shorts. So they would say two things, all right? They would say, those shorts look stupid and you can't start a business. I'm only going to listen to the first one. Those shorts do look stupid. Let me make some different ones. You have to take in certain bits of criticism and just leave the others out. If you take all the criticism, you will never go anywhere. Everybody is constantly going to hate on anything you start. So you get your mindset back in the right place. You've got all of these weird little shirts and pants and sweatshirts and whatever you drew out ready. You're like, all right, it's time to start my business. So you call up some 8-year-old in Taiwan to start making you some shirts or whatever, and you spend a good bit of your money. Let's say you have $150. You spend $100 to get these shirts produced. Immediately, if anybody finds out about that, oh my gosh, you are stupid. Why would you do that? How are you going to buy food? How are you going to put gas in? And all of these thoughts start creeping into your head. Ignore them. Who cares? Literally, just think it's all going to work out. And if it doesn't work out, make it work. That's what I've been doing for the past 3 years. And it's not going perfectly, but it's going the way I'm happy with the way it's going. Okay. Anyway, so you've got your shirts. They were made and they were sent to you. So now you're looking at a box of all your clothes and you're like, wow, I really did it. I took a thought in my head and now I'm holding it in front of me. That is actually a very beautiful thing, by the way. If you've never experienced that, I highly recommend it. You can do it even just by grabbing some popsicle sticks and building something. I don't know. That's a little weird, but it's just a very cool thing to just picture in your head and then actually build it and hold it. I don't know. Nice feeling. Anyway, now you have your clothes. It's time to sell them. So you go to school the next day with a big box of all your weird little clothes. And, some people are laughing at you like, look at this jerk off. What is he doing? Trying to sell clothes. You're not, I don't know, a clothes seller. I don't know any famous clothes sellers. So I don't know who you would, I don't know. But you're not a clothes guy. All right, stop. And you ignore them, whatever. Some people buy your clothes. You have a couple people come up and buy some shirts from you. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. You have now sold your entire box of clothes. Okay, that's amazing. Very, very good for you. Now you've made this money. All right, let's say you've made $500. So you have $550 in your bank account now, and you're like, you know what? I want to go buy some Balenciaga shoes. Why? So everybody knows how pimp I am and that my clothes sold beautifully. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Wrong move. You have to reinvest that money. And that is where a lot of people fail. It seems like an obvious thing, but after months of work, just months of effort and getting nothing in return, nothing but harassed and made fun of, when you finally get some money, all you want to do is spend it. Oh, you just want to spend it so bad. $500, you could buy a piece of junk Civic on Marketplace for $500. How beautiful would it be to be beating the limiter on your K20 engine in the parking lot at 7:30 in the morning with everybody looking at you thinking, oh, there's that guy that sold me a t-shirt one time. That would just be probably the greatest thing ever. I couldn't actually conceptualize anything better than that. So main point, reinvest the money. You take that $500 and you go broke again. You go back to $50. and you buy a bunch of new clothes. You send them all to that 8-year-old in Taiwan or whatever the frick, and you get a bunch of clothes coming back. Now this time, what do you think people are going to say to you? Do you think people are going to be like, oh, you're broke. Oh, well, you don't get gas. I can get food, all this stuff. No, because now they're going to understand the value of that investment because you've already proven yourself. You've proven that you can do it. So now suddenly everybody around you now thinks you can do it, and they're not going to say anything to you about doing it. And I think that is something that should be noted, right? That's noteworthy, because in your head, right, if you are in the proper mindset, you don't need this confirmation that you can do it because you know you can do it. So in your head, you were already at that point where you've made money and you're buying clothes the first time you did it. When you went broke, if you are so confident that you are going to sell clothes, obviously you're going to do it again, right? So if I ask you, hey, I just made $50 on my business. I only invested 5. Should I invest 10 and see what happens? Immediately, you're going to say yes. Yes, invest 10 and see if you make 100. Why would you not do that? So if I ask you the first time, hey, should I spend this money to maybe make this money? I don't know. But once you know you can do it, obviously you're going to do it. So if you have this mindset of you can do it, why would you not do it? And that's where a lot of people go wrong. It all starts at the first step back in the beautiful mindset that we talked about way earlier. That's where everything begins. So now you've got your beautiful business, you reinvested your money 2 or 3 times, and you've made so much, you buy all the things you've ever wanted, and you don't find true happiness because that's not really where happiness comes from. But you've got what you've always wanted in that of a business, and you're no longer mediocre. You've done it. You've started a business. You were different. Now you're moving different, and everybody admires you, and they ask you, how can I do that? If you did it, how can I? And that's weirdly enough, that's something I hear a good bit. People tell me, they say these exact words. They say, if it works out, put me on. Well, that's just marvelous, right? And I mean, that makes, that's not like a stupid thing to say. That's a pretty smart thing to say. But it's like, they only want to be put on if it works. Nobody wants to take that risk. But the risk takers are the ones who make that money. Like that one guy on that one thing that was like, oh, I'm a risk taker, I'm a road runner. Who knows? Maybe he's like a multi-trillionaire or something. Probably not. He's probably broke, but whatever. It's the risk takers and the people who do things that were said to be impossible that succeed the most. So I encourage you, be that person. Do that weird thing that everybody says not to do. Just shoot for the stars. And really, I promise you, you cannot miss. Because in the end, I mean, unless you're shooting with like a wooden bow and arrow and you're really weak and it goes 5 feet up in the air and comes back into your forehead, if you have, let's say you have some sort of orbital cannon and you shoot it into the stars, you can't miss. There's a lot of stars. A lot of things can happen. That's what I mean when I say that, right? I probably am going to make a video on that, but just aim high and see how high you get, right? You never know how far you can get without failing until you fail. So go as far as you possibly can, fail, and then stay there or improve if you want. Probably improve would be the better move. But a lot of people, let's put it like this, okay? Let's say your opportunity and ability and everything of where you could be in life is a scale, right? We'll say it's a scale out of 10. A lot of people will get to 5, and they'll buy things that you can buy on a 5 scale. They'll buy, an older sports car that they liked as a kid. That they get a nice house, but in reality, they can get to 8. 8 is like 2. You have a house, you have a lake house, you have 5 cars, you have all this stuff, and they don't know they can get to 8. So what I'm telling you to do is try to get to 10. You were never made to get to 10. You were never meant to get to 10. Your limit could be 7, but just go for 10 and you'll run in at 7. You're going to stop. You're going to stop at 7 and you're going to be like, well, oh no, I'm at 7. I was working at Dollar General sitting at a 3. Now I've pushed myself and I've made it to 7. Who knew I ever could have got there? I'll give you a hint. It was me. It's me. I told you could get there. Give me all the money you make. I think that's all for this little rant. I'm working on a better video, a more put together video coming up here pretty soon. I just wanted to get something out. It's been a while, and yeah. So I hope you enjoy. Feel free to leave a comment. Any questions, concerns, comments. Well, comments, whatever the frick. Okay. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and take my advice into practice. See what happens.